All right. Okay, guys. So last Friday, we checked several markets, and like always, we're going to review them, see the outcomes. And today, I want to have feedback from some of our community members. If you took those trades, I want to see you send in the chat room, and we can have to interact about all of those trades. So last time we took several trades, we're going to analyze them, and then we're going to see where is the market moving towards this week. Okay, first, last time we checked clay. We looked at clay market last time, and we're going to see how far that went. So I'm going to go to clay market, part of the markets we sent. Let's see. All right. Okay, that is still coming up. Let's see how well that went and what is the next move for clay right now. So I'm going to go to clay USDT. Perfect. So this was our setup for clay. This was our setup for clay last time. So as we can see, we had a clay long, which we posted in the group, and we had our long as about here, and our target was for a 10% clay move on a 10x leverage, which closed over here. You could see clay broke over to our first market zone at exactly the same point in our first market zone, which gave us a whooping 71% profit on clay over here. So if you took the trade, congratulations, you took a 71% profit. So if you got our friends or community members in Tafa who is still not taking this trade, you want to tell them they're missing a lot. The goal is we want to ensure every member of our community is making daily profit beyond the primary entry bots like Neuronet, Smart Invest that we have. We want to give you configurations every day that at the end of the week, you would have made a lot of money. So I have one person in the chart here, Zach said he took 72% on clay. Also, that's super, super amazing. Now, one of the initiatives we want to start as an organization is to start showcasing traders who are more trade inclined, so that the community can look at them and be able to emulate or follow their concept of trading, which is why we started this. Want to make sure everyone understand the concept of how trading works, how you can make daily profit. Very soon, we're going to have a lot of community members be able to do this on their own because they've watched us do it over and over. So we're going to start a new initiative where we get to pick traders from among the community from this live sections who have done amazing results, and we're going to have a one-on-one section with such traders. And this also we're going to put promote to our social media for other traders to be able to follow up what they're doing with also this traders referral link. So you want to be part of that. That is going to be a super great initiative. So whenever you make profit, you want to reach out, send in the comment section. You want to talk about it so we can look through that and see, okay, is this part of the traders that are already doing amazing results, and get you to showcase to other traders to emulate your trading style. So that was a good trade on clay. Now we're going to look at other ones. We also did a trade on ANKRO, which we also did a long on. And amazingly, you could see how super our setups are if you've been following. So this was our ANKRO setup for Friday, and our first zone was around there. You can see ANKRO dropped at the same point of our zone. That is how exact the setups we're giving are. So ANKRO dropped at the exact point of our first zone and started moving back upward, which we took 36% profit on ANKRO. So if you also took profit on ANKRO, you want to indicate you're going to be among the first person, as you keep making this consistent profit, that we're going to get to our new initiative that is going to be called Real Traders, Real Results, where we get to talk to you directly on a one-on-one basics about your trade and see how we can improve it better. Amazing. Someone said my screen is covering the chart. Which of the screen is covering the charts? Let me know. I'm literally showing the full charts over here. So let me know what you're seeing. And my screen is like literally downward while we have the full chart covering the screen. So let me know which part are you seeing my face? Are you serious? Okay. My face should just be a little bit down there. So don't worry, I'm going to sort that out. Let's take that off. Let me know, is that better right now? Because I really want to be sure you're seeing the chat. Let me know if that is better, Wana. If that is better, that will be great. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. So we also did 37% profit over here, 36%, 36.1% on a 5S on ANKRO over here. And that was so exact, hitting the same point of our zone. And then we also took trades on BTC. Let's see how well that did. So if you're following this trade, you're making a whole lot of money. So we did that over here. This was our trade on BTC. This was the first zone. Amazingly, BTC hit our first zone also. The trade setup are super, super exact, amazingly exact. We also took a trade on ANKRO. So let's also see. This was our ANKRO setup. First zone, we took a long, and we also closed on Matic. Sorry, we also closed on Matic profit. I'll just see how many that is. Okay, that closed on about 15% profit, 15 to 25, depending on where you got in. So that closed at 15 to 25% profit. Super, super amazing. Then we had a trade also on FED, and this was also our FED setup. All of the market a super amazing setup. They hit our first zone, and then they start going back up, and we took profit on that also. Then yesterday we posted a trade on Lena. So these one things to expect. We could just post any setup in the Telegram group. So that's one of the places you want to be in. You want to be on the Telegram channel. So we're going to be posting setup from time to time beyond the live trading. As setup comes up, we're going to send it over there. You want to follow the setup and do that to take in a lot of profits. Perfect. So we had this on Lena, and Lena also closed at a 10 to 20% profit, depending on where you got in, and that also reached our first zone. So for today, we've looked at those markets. We're going to say, okay, where is the market going next, and what do we need to do? Now, number one is to notice that last time we talked about we're expecting a little bit drawdown, and which is why we started accumulating a lot of long trades, and we said we're expecting BTC to push back up into the zone over here where we're seeing 25,200 and up to the higher top zone. I'm going to show you that over here, up to the zone of BTC getting to 28,600. Now that push up we expected to happen right after the drop, but that did not seem so. So BTC only got to our first zone and has been struggling over there. So this will indicate a lot of stuff. Number one is that there's still so much resistance happening on that zone. So what are we expecting from the market? If we go back to the USDT chart, we're going to see that money side flowing back into USDT, and that's pretty amazing. It means people are selling off from the profits, like we also cashed out from the market's movement. And we also see the same thing happening with the altcoin market. Money is leaving altcoin, and also the same thing started happening with Bitcoin. So there's a pretty resistance happening around this first zone. So what are we expecting the market to do? Two major stuff. We're going to see a pushback for the market to gain better momentum. So the market does a little push downward to gain a little bit momentum, and then we're going to see the market pushing back upward towards the zone that we're tracking before. So what we're going to be looking for this week is to get into more long trade, to accumulate more long position. One, we're going to be expecting those drawback again, like we stated on Friday. So when you see those drawback, you don't have to worry. We're going to expect that. So that gives us a lot of entries into the market to follow up the move that will soon be starting. Perfect. But while we're following the long position, we also want to create one short-term trade on a short position. So we're going to look at first that short-term trade that we're going to do, and then we'll now move into what are all our other long-term trade, which is going to run during the week. So the first trade we want to look at today is STX. So this was our chart on STS, about 10 minutes, that was already valid before we started this live section. And this is the FTS zone, and it's already dropping over here. It has done, we just checked how many percent drop already from when we created this setup. That's done a 7% drop. That's crazy. STS has already done a 7% drop. That is a lot of profit. On a 10S, that's a 70% profit, but we're still looking for a short on the STS. Now, why are we looking for a short on the STS? Is number one is STS is currently at a resistance zone. We're expecting a little bit drop back because BTC is not able to move above the resistance right now. Money is moving back into altcoin. So we want to capture a little bit short into STS to take some profit while we're accumulating a lot of long on our other trades. So this is the FTS STS setup. It's still valid despite the market has dropped within a few minutes, about 7%. So that's still good. So what we're looking here is to track STS movement up to 32% movement, which is the maximum price limit on the zone. And then FTS has a final high that is running about $1.5. We're not looking towards that right now, except the market on really extremely bullish market. So we're trying to cover first the major zone that FTS will be approaching. So that is happening at STS getting to $1.26. So what do? We go over to our martingale calculator. We want to track a 32% movement on the short. So if you go over to your martingale calculator, as always, if you don't have it, I'm going to send it also over to the charts. So you could just find it over there in the chart. Perfect. So over there, you want to put what is the price movement. As always, we see 32% over here. So you go for the price movement, 32%. And then we also want to figure out the average movement, and that is pretty simple. What we try to do is understand at every point the market was ranging, what percentage was the range limiting. So to get that, we look at it through a shorter time frame. We can find one happening over here. So we have to scan through to see what was the limit that it was running on. So over here it was running on 7-8% limit, which gives you a clue that this is a very highly volatile market. That could explain why just creating the setup and getting on the meeting, it has already dropped over 7%, because this is its level of average movement. That is pretty interesting. So we want to find out what are other times we found a range in a shorter time frame and what was it running at. So we still have the same happening around here. Let's see what was the average percentage movement. So this is a pretty volatile market. You're seeing it around 6 to 7%. That's super interesting. So that's the same thing we're getting overall. So this is a volatile market. We also would want to go for such. Now, for such volatile market like this, like I always recommend, you don't want to do a heightened level of leverage for that. Because that's going to be risky. A market that could just drop 7%, that's super highly volatile. So we want to do a much more percentage movement. So in the average, we've seen that we're running at 6%. So simply means that this is a trade that a lot of capital will be able to handle. So for me, as always, I try to allocate some portion of my capital to each of the trade, create my own live setup, so I'm also making the same profit just like everyone. If you go on my Tafabot, you're going to see the trade that closed earlier today from all the setup we gave, and this was my profit on that over here, 11%, giving me about $600, okay, from the Lena setup and ANKRO. So we're going to create the setup over here, which gives us 5 entry. That's pretty amazing. So for this, you want to use a pretty low leverage. You don't want to go over 5S. That will be a lot for such a volatile market. We're tracking a 6% movement on 5 entry. Means literally anyone will be able to take this kind of short trade. If you're using even $100 capital, you'll be able to take this trade. We could just confirm that. So I'm going to go for like $100. And we have 33 and 6, 33 and 6. And calculate. So you have 1.1. Yeah. So in the new rule of Binance, we did notice from the last training, the Binance is now restricting some markets to having a position side of not lesser than $23, $25. So For that, that's still going to be an issue. If you're doing a 10S on this, it's still not going to be enough capital for such market. So we're going to review other market that you can run on the same price movement. So for this, you won't be able to handle that except you want to go on a high leverage, which is not totally advised. So we're going to check out other markets that you can jump in with same capital as low as $100. So for this setup, you want to leave that to people with higher capital that can handle the Binance limit of having a position side of about $25 without exceeding 5S. So for that, you're going to need your first entry capital to be there about $5 to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to take this trade over here. So if you have $100 capital, don't worry, you're going to see a setup, a whole lot of setup that you can jump right in. So I'm going to go straight into my Tafabot app. As usual, you want to create this setup also if you're following. And the setup we're creating is a short on STX. So I'll check. We've not yet created a setup for STX. So I'm going to start in a new bot. So I'm going to create a new bot over here. And I'm going to call it STX setup. And exchange, I'm using Binance on this. You can use any other exchange you want. And we go to STS, perfect, and select the market. And my maximum capital I'm allocating to this is $5,000. And we're creating a short, and the Martingale is normal. And my first entry amount, as always, you want to follow the whole system the Martingale calculator gives to you, so you do not break the structure of your trade. So I have 55.6. You want to do the exact same thing from the calculator. I have number of entry as 5, and my leverage is 5. I'm not going more than that on this market. First entry is 6, then we have 12, then we have 18, then we have 24, then we have 30. And I pretty have the same thing over here. And 18, and 24, and 30. So save. Take profit ratio. We want to see how far that is. So our first drop over here, we can find our first drop at around 17%. Pretty volatile market. So we want to capture a 10% movement. Meaning if you're doing a 5S, you're expecting a 50% profit of your capital. So I'm going to move over there. And I'm going to do a 10% take profits. And my preference is relaxed. And I'm going to explain that once again, depending on what leverage you're using, that will affect if you're using a preference of relaxed or conservative. Now, my concept to leverage is always, if, for example, I want to open this STS trade on, let's say my full capital is, let's say $50,000, for example. And I want to open STS trade with $50,000. My pattern of leverage is that I use 10% of that capital, which is going to be $5,000, and put into the same trade and go leverage on it. I never go leverage on 100% of my capital. You could take 10% of your capital and go leverage on 10% of your capital. If you take 10% of your capital, even on a 10S, it simply means that you're still on a 1S leverage. So that is like no leverage at all. Right? But you're still able to make as much profit as if you're using your whole capital, while you have also more balance for other trades. So with that, I always go for a relaxed rate because I'm literally not leveraged at all on that. So if you're using your whole capital on that, you don't want to go for a relaxed rate, or you don't want to take high volatile market. You're going to see other markets that you can venture into. So I want to ask a question. Since Binance is high, which exchange do you recommend? Exchanges like KuCoin have pretty low limits per trade. We also have Wobi. Wobi is also low. So you could check for several other exchange. Like we support a whole lot of exchange. You want to check for those. Binance is creating so much limits. So you could move to any other comfortable exchange that you have. So take profit ratio, relax risk, and strategy period is 1, which simply means this trade is only going to execute one time, and we take a 50% profit and it will be done. So I create my bots. Like always, I'm going to start my bots live. And I'm also going to be recording my own profit from the trade. So I have the setup over here, STX setup. So start, confirm, and bot started. All right, so let's move to the next market. If you have over $300 capital, STX will be fine for you. But for $100, as we can see, it won't be able to cover up that. Next, let's move to our BTC setup, one of the pretty amazing setup we did on Friday. And we did the setup to overrun a lot. A lot of time means we are able to take profit and it gets back into the trade. And mine took about 3 profits 3 times, means 10% 3 times. For BTC, so that equals to a 30% profit. So we're also going to do the same thing, but for every other market we're going to be looking at right now, we're totally looking at a long, not a short. The only market we're shorting today is an STX market, and I explained the reason for that already. Someone said, is there a way one can save the profit made while trading, so once the market starts moving against you, you don't have to lose the profits made already? Is there a way to save the profit made while trading? Yes, when you specify the total capital, for example, when you say my total capital is this, and you also specify the same thing in the market. Let's say, for example, this trade has executed, you've made like $500 profit from this. If it's going back into the trade, it's still going to be the same capital. It will never have to exceed that capital. So the profit that you've made is always secured. Now, it is important to note in crypto, you always want to take out profit. So if you have this as your capital, let's say $5,000 and you make $500, learn to cash out your profit is a good thing. If you're looking for long-term structure, then you can reinvest your profit, but that will be on the ground that you're very low on risks. So you're just accumulating and growing your capital, not like you're trying to take a chunk out of the market every time. So STX, we're short STX one small. Someone is asking, are we shorting a trade? This is the same setup, price movement, average movement. Also, it's going to be shared in the Telegram group. All right, so let's move to BTC. Our BTC setup still stands. We're still looking to have multiple trade into BTC. So that still holds. If we are not there on Friday, this is the setup for BTC. We are tracking a 10% movement and a 1% average movement. So if you go to the calculator once more, and for BTC is a pretty much more secure trade, which means you could even go as much as a 20x leverage. So let's say you have $100 capital and we're tracking a 10% movement, a 1% for entry. Calculate, you're going to have 1.8. If you go on a 15x leverage, you will have enough capital that Binance requires. So that's pretty fine. You can take the BTC trade. This is the setup. We're still going to post that in the Telegram group. So this is one trade you can take. I already have the BTC trade running over here, so I wouldn't have to set that up again. But I'll just show you what are the structures for that. So this is the BTC trade. Move over here. Once again, we're long in BTC. We have normal. The number of entry is 10, like we just saw. Our first entry amount you get from your calculator over here. I went for a 10x leverage on BTC. That's how good that setup is. So you could even go a 20x, but not more than that on the BTC setup. And our take profit ratio is 1, means we're targeting a 10% profit if you're using a 10s, or a 20% profit if you're using a 20s. And the entry configuration is same as is given in the calculator over here. So that's still a valid setup. The strategy period right now is 50, means this trade is going to run 1% profit, which is 10% in my leverage every time up to 50 times. That's pretty amazing. So that's a lot of money to take from the BTC trade. This has already executed 3 times. So for me, I have like 47 more BTC trades to execute. So this is the setup. Don't miss that. You want to take the BTC trade, whatever capital you have, it will be able to cover up for that. Next, we want to look at someone said, what is the take profit for STX? The take profit is 10%. That is our take profit. We're looking at a 10% take profit over here in our first zone, right over here, okay? Perfect. And once again, we're shorting. Don't forget that. Someone said my trade on BTC setup didn't pick any trade. I followed the setting accurately. What could be the reason? The reason is what I just explained. After the meeting last time, we noticed, I believe you're trading on Binance, is that Binance has increased their limit for BTC. It was now about $25. So if you had this same setup over here, like I just showed on a 10S, it wouldn't work. You need to go beyond the 10S, move into a 20S for that setup to work. So that was the reason. You want to recreate that, just change your leverage to a 20S for BTC, and it should be able to pick your trade. Okay, so we have two setup already. We want to look at all the setups for the day. Another setup is the ANK arrow. Pretty amazing setup that we did last time, and it reached all our targets. So we also want to look for more long into ANK arrow, but right now our setup is going to be different from what we had last week. Last week, this was where our zone setup started over here, and the price has already moved within our first zone. So we want to take our targets down into where the price currently is to be able to figure out what is the current price movement that we're reaching at. So this is one trade also that you'll be able to take with a shorter capital because a large percentage of the movement has already happened. So what we then have here is that ANK arrow, our target now becomes a 22% movement, which is very, very really good movement to capture. So I want to take all of this again on the same setup, but right now we're tracking a 22% movement. So if you followed last time, our ANK arrow average movement is still the same. It's running at 3.3, but we're tracking a 28% movement. Right now we're tracking a 22% movement. So I'm gonna go over here and put in my capital 22, 3 points. ANK arrow average 3.1. Okay, you want to see this 22%, 3.1 movement. Put that in your calculator with your capital and calculate. It gives me this whole setup over here. So I'm going to go right also into my Tafabot, and we have the ANK arrow trade that closed last time. ANK arrow. Let's see, where are you? Where are you? Yep, so I got it over here, ANK arrow set up. Perfect, I took a $452 profit from it. So I'm gonna edit, and we're still on long in ANK arrow next. Right now, my first entry capital changes. So you wanna use the new setup, 57.6 for me. And number of entry right now is now 7, no longer 9. That's interesting. I still went on a 5S leverage for that. And my first entry is, pretty much amazingly the same. That's interesting. Pretty much amazing. So we have the same price entry, just like last time from the calculator. Everything's the same. Our take profit ratio, we want to do a 3S take profits, means I'm going to be expecting 3% price movements with my leverage 5S over here. And I'm also relaxed, which I explained why. This is a one-time strategy, and all of these things are still the same. So I'm going to save up and start up my ANK arrow right away. All of the setup we're calling, if you don't catch them, we're still going to send them in the Telegram group, but it's just important that you understand the concept and the trade psychology that the setup is using. That's why you have to join the Zoom to see what are the psychology for this setup. So when you receive the setup, you understand why are we using the setup, and so you have a full idea about that. Someone said, my first entry amount is 1.2. What leverage can I use for Binance if my capital is 100? If you're trading BTC, I said you could go for a 20S leverage based on the current setup that we just gave. That will not be valid every time, but for the setup right now, you could go for a 20S. Someone said, what's the average movement for ANK arrow? The average movement is 3.1, same as last time. It's still running at the same. And ANK arrow is a long, not a short. Don't forget, we only have one short trade today, and that is STX. Don't forget that. It's a long setup. Someone said, please, can I get the calculator? Yes, of course, it's in the chat group. We're going to post it again. You also want to join the Tafabot Telegram channel. We also post that over there. Now, if you're talking about ANK arrow for a $100 setup and your first entry price is 1.8, I believe Binance is still allowing for market like BTC, for altcoins to be able to do a $15 entry. So you should be able to go with that also for ANK arrow. Okay. Someone said, please, could you help tell management to help increase the trade on a $100 license to at least 10 for us? Okay, we'll look into that. You could send that right inside your app under the support feedback, and the support team will look into that. And what is the minimum FUD for ANK arrow? Someone is asking. For this setup, you'll be able to use even as low as $100. If you're doing for a 10S on ANK arrow, you'll be able to do that. And if you have more capital, you want to stick to 5S leverage, and that should work for ANK arrow. Perfect. Someone said, I use STX, leverage 5S, but it shows 20S on Binance. You want to be sure about the setup. If you did a 5S, it should pretty much still be a 5S on Tafabot and on Binance. Okay, you want to be sure of that. Sometimes you could reload. Binance could still be showing you the cache of your previous setup. If you've traded it before, then you just refresh and it will be fine. And someone's saying, what is the take profit for ANK arrow? Once more, just like we did last time, our profit is 3%. So we're tracking a 3% price movement for profit. Okay, someone said they're joining for the first time. What is the rationale behind drawdown and take profit? You do not understand the concept yet. For that, I'll try to give a brief explanation, but you're going to need to join like the preliminary classes that teaches you what is Martingale strategy and all of that. There are also videos online for that on YouTube. So it gives you a good concept and ideology of what we're doing today. All right, the strategy period for ANK arrow is still 1. We're just expecting a one-time trade and the bot is going to turn off. TP for ANK arrow, this time we're going for a 3% movement. We want to take a very, very fast trade out of ANK arrow because you can see it's still within our zone. So you understand the rationale behind all of this. The market has moved really up from our first zone. So we're expecting it to touch over here the first setup of the zone, which is going to give us a 3% movement. So that's all we want to take from ANK arrow. Perfect. Okay, let's move forward, guys. We've analyzed STS, BTC. We've done ANK arrow right now, and the leverage is still 5. Don't forget. Next, we want to move to Matic. Matic, a pretty amazing coin. I noticed a lot of users like to trade Matic a lot, so we try to review Matic. So Matic, like you can see also in our setup, is at our first drawdown, which we've taken profit from, and we want to long Matic again. So we want to track what is the next move we're expecting for Matic. Now, last time we tracked a 30% Matic movement. So if we take our price zone down to the current price, we see how long we are from the next zone of Matic. Now we are now at a 25% Matic movement. So we want to create the same setup, but this time in a 25% market movement. And we're still going to be tracking our take profits for Matic at the same price movement that we have over here, which is a 5% price movement. So head back to the calculator. Same, now 25%. The average price for Matic is still the same like last time, and it's running at 3.3. So 3.3, if we click on calculate, it gives us a totally new setup for Matic. So I'm going to go over to my Tafa also, and I want to go to the bot and look for my Matic setup. Let's see how far our other trades are doing. Oh, amazing, guys. Can you see our BTC trade is already at 5%. Our ANK arrow long is already at 2.9%. So the trades are running. STS is already in at minus 2.7. And all of the trades are live and running right now. So we've started taking our profits, but it is always our hope to have more drawdown so we have more entries into the market. For us, that is always much more favorable. Okay, so let's move over to our next setup that we're already doing, the Matic. So I took the Matic profits, $300 from the last setup on Friday. That's super amazing. So we still have the same setup over here. But right now, last time our setup was 9 entry. Now we have 7. Pretty amazing, which also gave me more capital into my first entry at 54.1. So we'll move 54.1. And my leverage is still the same for all of these altcoins. I only go leverage on BTC, like I've explained numerous times. So our entry configuration, we have 3.3. Now this is quite different. Yeah, we have 6.6. Last time we had 6.4. You always want to use the exact configuration. That is how you get the right trade setup. If you've been following from when we started this initiative, every day we're having everyone who take this setup do over 25% profits. And that is on the ground of following the setup exactly as it is. You don't want to alter it. It's created in the best perfect way. So we have over here pretty much the same. And over here also we have 13.2, amazing. And 9.9 and 6.6 and 3.3. So I'm gonna save. Someone said for Matic, can someone with $100 take this trade? Let's look at it. So our take profit ratio for Matic, like we looked at earlier, we're targeting a 5% take profit also. Relax strategy is 1. We want just a one-time trade and save. And I'm going to be starting up my Matic. And we're going to see also, can we take this trade with $100? Remember, we've looked at trade that we can take with $100. We looked at BTC earlier. We also looked at ANKRO earlier. Let's also see if Matic can do the same. I'm going to start up my Matic right away. So my profit starts counting. Okay, so Matic 25, 3.3, 25, 3.3, and $100 capital. Calculate, so it gives us 1.1 entry into Matic. If Binance doesn't agree for you to do that, you want to check, other exchange that allows you to use, like Binance was allowing before to use $10 minimum position side. Means with this, if you're doing a 10S, you should be fine on Binance, and other exchange, you should even be fine even with a $1.1 entry. So Matic, you could do with $100 also. Someone said, I'm currently on Matic from the former setup. Okay, means you possibly entered after all the setup was done. So if your Matic has not closed up to now, so you don't need to do anything. In your old setup, we still set up to the zone that we are tracking. So you have better chance at profits than even we have. So you don't want to change that. You don't want to alter that with the new setup. Your setup is totally intact if your trade has not closed. Okay. Perfect. Also, we try to post this recording on YouTube. You also want to follow our YouTube channel. So after all of the class, we send the videos on YouTube while we post the setup on Telegram. So you can watch again to understand the psychology behind all of this setup. Okay. We have Matic. We're done with Matic. What is the next market that we're looking at? Guys, we've looked at STX, we looked at BTC, we've looked at ANKRO, Matic, 4 market right now. We are also going to look at FETs. For Matic, take profit remains 5. Someone says his Lena is still up. Yes, now guys, this is one thing about always following the setup. which is why you have to be up to date. You want to set an alert on the Tafabot Telegram. When we send the setup, you want to get into that setup at the same time. What we've noticed is maybe someone finds the setup 5 hours later and is trying to follow it. It's going to be different setup from we who took the setup when it was sent. Just set an alert. They are pretty easy. When we go through the Zoom, even if you're not on the Zoom, but you want to be to understand the psychology, once the setup is sent, you just want to put the setup right into your setting and start it, okay? You don't want to wait. So for the guy who is still on Lena, it's part of the market we're going to be looking at, so you want to stay tuned to that. We just finished with Matic. And we want to look at FETs, then we're going to look at Lena. So someone said on Binance, Matic won't give us $20. I said on Binance, I think Binance still allows you to do a $10 for altcoin. So you want to confirm that. If it doesn't, then one of the things we try to do is cover up the larger zone, right? Which is why our trade are almost a 100% risk-free. So when we look at the market, we look at what is the largest zone of the market. It will take the market wanting to go extremely bullish or bearish up to crashing down or going to zero to break outside of our zone. So when we track the zone, we go for the last endpoint of the zone, right? And we don't want to do a shorter zone. Guys, if we do a shorter zone, you could even use a $10 capital for all of these, but that will be you taking in a lot of risks. And the goal is make you a lot of money with the lowest level of possible risks, which is why we take the last zone in the market. So if you have low capital, like $100, you want to stick with markets that we recommend for low capital, like BTC, you're still going to make the same profit. So don't feel like you're losing out on anything. I took the same profit I made on BTC. It was literally the same thing I made on Matic. So there was no difference. My BTC made me the same profit, just like altcoins, right? So you're not losing out on anything. Okay, so let's look at FETs once more, guys. What is the leverage for Matic? I just explained that already right now, depending on the capital. So let's take a look at FETs. What does FETs have for us? So we see over here, FETs is already one of the guys that are performing so good from our setup. If you went through the FETs trade, you also have taken profit. So, but it has not gone to our first zone of FETs moving a 16% upward. So we still want to track this FET and we still want to get along into FET. Now, this is the pretty thing about FET because it's already a market that is moving already in the direction that we expected. So we probably will not be expecting a large market drawdown up until the last zone that we're tracking for FETs, right? So we probably won't be expecting that much because FET is pretty stable. It has shown strength. It has shown a lot of support. So we're going to have two separate setups for FET for guys who still have all of the capital and say, hey, I still want to stick with the largest zone, which is the safest zone of the setup. And for also guys who have lesser capital, say, okay, I want to take the zone because FET has been really a super setup. So for FET, we have the zone that we're tracking for drawdown here at 19%, and we have the full final zone at 34%. So if you are on FET and you were there in our last setup class, this is the setup we did over like this. FET, we're tracking a 39% movement, and FET runs on a 4% average. So if we calculate that, this is still going to be your setup over here. Your setup is still pretty the same, right? Nothing changed. So what you want to do is go over to FET right now. So if we go to FET, let's go FET, where are you? Where is my FET setup? Okay, this is FET over here. So I just want to jump right in and start off FET because my setup is pretty almost the same thing. So it's fine over here. My setup is still pretty almost the same thing. We just want to go right in. If you didn't catch that, we're going to post the setup once more in the Telegram channel. So I'm just going to start up my FET to start accumulating profits for me. Start up FET. Now, for if you have a lesser capital, now what we want to do, FET has been pretty stable. We want to track also the nearest closest market zone, which is running at 19%. So if we take that up until where the market currently is, so we don't have any disparity, that will give us a 20.6%. So if we go over to the calculator, let's say you have $100 capital, and so we have over 20%, and FET is a 4% market movement. That gives you $1.7, means on a 10x on FET, you're still able to cover up this trade. So if you have a lesser capital, you still have this setup. For FET, it's just a 5-entry setup, and this is it over here. We're still going to post that right after this meeting. So instead, what is the price movement and average movement for BTC? We gave that. It's still the same thing. Price movements is 10, average is 1. And BTC, we have a lot of entries in the strategy period. Someone said, I didn't attend the class, but I watched your recording video. However, I want you to explain how I can understand the zone system and also know the indices I will see and know if I should take a longer shot. What are the sites you use to understand the money flow? So all of this happens right in the chart. They happen on TradingView right in the chart. And I try to explain. So you want to go and watch the first video we posted that fully explained zone trading. In Matinga, the trading strategy is called zone trading. We identify the market higher zone, the market lower zone, and we create a setup for them using the average price movement and the total price movement. We have the best setup. Also, while using the Matinga calculator that is totally created to give you the best entry configuration when you give it those two parameters, and you have the best setup. So you want to watch that video. It's really going to take us a lot of time to start explaining that. So you want to go for that video once more. FET, like I said, our take profit is still the same. We're still expecting FET to give us our full percentage profit. So you also want to stick with that, a 5% take profit for FET. I'll just be sure that I also updated that. Initially, our goal for FET is a 16%, but if you've taken this trade, means you've taken the first FET movement, you've taken 25% profit already. So we don't have much more to go over here. So we want to stick with a 5% price movement because that move has already started, unlike when we created the strategy. Yes, so I needed to update that also for mine. Don't forget, even if your bot has started, you can go right in and update your settings, and it will auto update your own bot configuration. Let's take, for example, that like I saw some users in the Matic and ANKRO markets last time. They were on like 40% profit. I was seeing some posts on social media. I try to follow up what we do on social media. So when you post your profit, you want to use a hashtag Tafabot. We always check Tafabot hashtag, see what people are doing, what they are posting. So I see a lot of users with that, and they were like 40% profit. So if you don't want to wait for the full trade target and you're on the 40% profits, you can come over here and just update your take profits. So say take profits 1, and you save it. You don't need to go on Binance to close your trade, blah, blah, blah. And Tafabot will handle that trade for you, close it, sort it out. So you don't have to worry yourself about that. If you don't want to wait for the full target, you're on profit, you like the profits, go right there in, update the take profits, and take your profits. Strategy period for FET is still 1. It's just a one-time trade. Take profit is 5%. Okay, that's the stand. We've analyzed FET. That is our 5th market. And finally, we want to look at Lena. If you have questions, keep sending it in. I keep answering those questions as we go on. So Lena is super stable, super amazing market. It's just stagnant. It's just over there. So for such market that is currently not responding to the money outflow, that is something unique, means that there's a lot of support happening for Lena, but we don't want to just look at that. We also want to cover up the same price movement. So what happens over here is that Lena went up, we took profit, and now it's down, right? It simply means that our same setup like before, 100% stand. So if you go to our Telegram group where we posted the Lena setup. That same setup, nothing has changed. Lena is still back to that zone after we took profit. So the price movement is 40%. The average is 3.3. Take profit is still 5%. The maximum leverage is still 5 and is a long trade. So the same setup still stand. You want to go to the Telegram group to get that setup. So that's being said, one of the things you want to note is when you get the setup, it's different for every capital, right? Which is why we give the Martingale calculator to put your capital and get the setup that totally works for your capital. You always want to utilize that, and you want to put in all the same configuration. What is take profit for FET? Take profit for FET, we still have it over here at, let's confirm that. We have it over here at 8%, so it's still the same. Nothing has changed. FET is still at our same price movement. So guys, you want to create all of this setup. We won't jump right in. If we go to my Binance, we see all of the trade happening. I have STX, I have FET, I have BTC, Matic, ANKRO. Which of my trade is not yet open? ANKRO, FET, BTC, STX. Lena is the only guy that is not open. I'll just confirm that. Why is my Lena trade not open? I'll just check on that. Lena, did I turn you on? Lena, yes. So I set up my Lena trade. So you can see the profits are already on green. We have 2% over here. We have 3% over here. And already running, okay? So someone said, use first entry that is not up to 10. When this happens, please, what can I do since I only buy my Tafabot to Binance? Yes, I already answered that. I said there are trades that are lesser risks, and we called all of those trades that you can go a 10x on, so, which will give you a $10 capital with Binance. So even if your first entry is $1 on a 10x, my trade is open, that's amazing. You're gonna have a $10 size market. So we gave BTC as one of those trades. We gave ANKRO as one of those trades. We also gave Matic as one of those trades. So there are a few trades that we gave that you can write with such capital. I was always excited when the market has a whole lot of drawdown to give us much more entries into the markets. So tomorrow we're going to review how well all of our trade performed, which took profit, which is still on, and then we're going to see where is the market moving next. You want to take all of this trade literally every day. Every user taking this is printing over 25% in profit. So you want to take all of this trade. Don't miss any of the section. Someone said, what capital do you advise to trade with $121? How many trade can $121 take? Okay, you can handle the BTC trade. That's totally super fine. And you can do one more extra trade. But ideally, you want to stick to just one if you want to be on the lowest level of risks. If not, maximum 2 trades should be able to handle things like the BTC trade we called and the ANKRO trade. That will be good for you, for your capital, if you're looking for a 2 trade to take. Don't forget, guys, we're going to be starting Retraders results. Keep sending in your results, and we're going to have a one-on-one session with you to talk about your results, to analyze how we can even make it better. Okay, someone said he took 3 trades on that BTC, Matic, and ANKRO. Let's look at that. ANKRO is still super good. Matic is still good. BTC is still good. But your capital will not cover up all of those price movements if they happen. You want to stick to 2, so you should just choose one and close one. Your capital cannot cover up all of those price movements. So you want to keep BTC up, and you want to choose between Matic or ANKRO, which one to go for. And I'm gonna say it's better to go for ANKRO, to pick Matic and close ANKRO. Matic has more possibility for profits. Someone said, please, does this mean we need to pick trade with $100? I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Someone said, why does it take long before the bot's going back into the market after taking profits? That is in our setup over here. So if you go over to our setup, in the setup, you put, no. Okay, in the setup, you put the strategy period, which means go into the trade one time or go into the trade 100 times. For some of the settings we are giving, they are trade for one time. But BTC was for 50 times. So if you have one time over here, means your bot will not go into trade again after closing profit. So nothing is wrong with your bot. It's just following the configuration. Someone said, how many leverage should someone use with $300? Depends on how many trades you're taking. If you're taking 2 to 3 trades, BTC I already explained, depends on how many trades you're going for. Okay, guys, every other thing, take profit for FET, BTC, we're going to post to the Telegram group. So you're going to have all of this configuration, and while you follow the video to understand the psychology of this trade and be able to understand when it is going in that psychology. Thank you, guys. So catch you tomorrow. Keep sending in your profits, and let's take our profits to the moon. See you guys.